ever. That is unethical.
Camera running.
Hey.
And we're recording this, so I'm on record. All right. Let me find yours. Go! All right. Okay, so everything off except for something. Everything off your desk. Oh, wait a minute. We're not gonna have this. So even though I still expect everyone to watch, listen to it. If you want it, if there's something you want to jot down, you can have your notebook out in case that's it. But that's it. Everything else off your desk. All right. I am excited for this.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Okay. So my topic was Thimblerig, and Free Card Monty.
Oh, you want the mouse?
That would be nice.
Demanding.
Okay. So first Thimblerig. It is also it gets its name from being used as there's 3 thimbles or shells and typically a pea. It is also known as the shell game, 3 shells and a pea, the cup and balls trick, and the old army game. And so all of these things. So some people will use cups and balls. Some people will use like walnut shells and peas. It changes, and it is known as a short con because it is very little prep. If you know how to do it, you can carry around 3 shells and a pea and scam basically anybody you want. And fun fact, the people that are doing it are called conjurers. And I wasn't really able to find why, but they are called conjurers.
Like a magician.
Yeah,
I mean, a magician. Do you know
Okay.
why it was called the old army game?
I do not.
Probably because they didn't.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. So I don't have a demonstration for this one. But what most people will do is they'll actually, so they have the 3 shells and they'll move one of the shells up on the table so the pea comes out, and then they put it in their hand and then put it in a different one. And then another thing that people did is they used loose fitting clothing to hide their pea or ball in, and they would be tied to the conjurer's waist, and so they were called conjurer pockets. And so then they put the balls in there to hide them. And because of these pockets, the magicians in Germany became known as pocket players. And so that's came from Thimblerig. And then pockets were much less popular everywhere except for Europe because they just wore mostly loose-fitting clothes and hid it in there. And then again, with just moving the shell up on the table so the pea comes out, that's typically how it's done. And so it was developed in ancient Greece and seen in medieval Europe. And there's this painting that's probably one of the most famous painting in relation to Thimblerig, and it's quite the painting. The more you look at it, the more you notice. So you can see owls and dogs, and then one of them is stealing something from a different person.
Is that the stealing right there?
This one is stealing from this
Yeah.
one. You can see. And so this is probably my favorite thing that I found researching. And then in ancient Rome, people doing this trick were called dice shakers, because they used boxwood dice shakers to do it. And then they called the game of dice shakers. And so then in the US, it largely lost popularity in Europe until the US and the introduction of like moving west and the stereotype of like the Wild West. And so in the West, it mainly traveled through railway stations, and one big person who did it is William Lucky Bill Thornton, and he traveled to California by a wagon train during the gold rush. And so throughout this, he scammed people using Thimble Rig and just continued until he eventually got caught and wasn't able to do it because every time he tried, it was just more threats of violence. So he had to give up on his scamming life. And then the big thing is that it was done also as time went on and as railroad stations grew in the 1800s, it became very common to do them in at there and then in bigger cities. As cities were growing, it became like a tourist thing, where that's here is a more modern example, where they're using water caps and coins to do it. And so it's still done today in bigger cities like New York, and it's a tourist thing, and it still scams people. Okay. So, and then now going on to three card Monty. It is also called the three card trick or find the lady, because one of the quote money card is typically the queen, and so it's called find the lady. And then three card is pretty simple because you have the three cards. And Monty comes from the Spanish and French word for mountain, because soldiers played it in the mountains. And so that's where that the name comes from. And so how this one works is that the dealer places three cards on a table. They then rearrange the card. The player picks where they believe the card is, and then if they get it right, they get their bet back, and then some. And so, okay, I did watch a lot of videos on how people do it, but I am not able to do it well. So I'm gonna try and do it once, and I'll do it up here.
So basically, if you're trying to scam us, that's exactly what you would say. I'm not very good, but no, you're probably gonna win. Yeah. Way to suck us in.
Yeah.
You might be on stuff, so I can see. Sit.
Okay. It's not good. So don't. And then I'll show you how they do it. But you'll probably be able to tell. Before that. Okay. So here's the two jokers, and here's the queen, right? And so I throw the queen down. The queen is over here. I throw it down, and then I keep doing this. And then you have to follow the queen. Are you watching, Fiona?
Yes.
Okay. Where's the queen? Yes, queen. Okay. So this is the card Fiona picked. It's not the queen. The queen is here. So basically how they do it is, so you have the queen here. I pick up these two cards, and then I keep throwing it down. But one of the times I throw it down, I throw the top card instead of the bottom card. And so when I throw it down, obviously, when I throw it down, it looks like I'm throwing the bottom card. And then people will get really good at this, and it's pretty much undetectable, especially if you don't know what they're doing, and if they're talking to you to distract you, that typically makes it very, very difficult to tell. And then even if you do win, they'll be like, "Oh, well, you could try it again, double your bet." And so yeah, so this is basically what I just said. The cards are also bent, so you can pick them up and throw them easier. And so you'll see all of the cards are bent. And you pick up the two cards at a time, and then you switch those two cards, and then you shuffle them around like normal. And then typically they get people in by the people. They will plant someone, which is called a shill, and they will be seen winning. And some people are like, "Oh, I could do that." They'll look really bad usually, and so people will say, "I can do better than them," and then that'll get on their ego, and they'll bet, and then they'll actually mess it up. And so then it was developed. Three card Monty was developed in the 15th century as a version of Thimble Rig, with cards instead of cups, and it was used in traveling carnivals. And again, it became very popular in Europe with traveling carnivals and things like that, and there were Monty cards developed specifically for the trick. And then it kind of lost popularity, and again, it rose back to popularity at the same time as Thimble Rig, and it reemerged in the United States West at pretty much the same places, railroad stations, things like that. And it began being used in magic acts. And so people began adding their like pizzazz to it and stories and everything. And so it developed more there than as a scam. And then it again, railroad stations, and there were incidents where people got scammed and then they got hurt, and they would like continually just like there'd be violence, there'd be shootout, things like that. And one of the best scammers in regard to three card Monte was Canada Bill. He did three card Monte tricks with someone whose name is Dutch Charlie on the Union Pacific Railroad tracks on the Omaha to Kansas trains, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when they began to crack down, he actually tried paying the railroad officials to continue doing his scam. So he originally offered the superintendent $10,000 to keep doing them for each year that he was doing them. And then the superintendent said no. And so then he went to the individual officers and said, oh, well, I'll give you $30,000 a year if you let me do it. And they also said no. And so he had to stop and move to other gambling techniques.
You just ride the train.
Yeah. And then lastly, the biggest person known in three card Monte and Thimblerig, he did both, and just scams in general, is Soapy Smith. And his real name was Jefferson, but his name comes from his famous soap scam that he began doing as he moved around and sold in mining towns. And so he would wrap soaps in $20 and $50 bills and say, oh, look, one of these soaps has money in it. And so you guys can buy my soap, and one of them is going to have money in them. But the people buying the money soaps are people that have been planted. And so he gets to keep the money. And then as he was doing this, he would play Thimblerig and three card Monte. And he kept moving around, and he organized crime rings in 3 different cities in the American West. And he got the name Soapy from the soap thing. And it's still honestly the thing, like the money in something is still kind of used as a gimmick today, where there'll be like those gold bar sand things that's like become popular, and people are like, oh, well, I got a $5 bill. And it's the exact same thing that Soapy Smith did. And so then he moved to Denver, and he kept growing his wealth and his gang. And he was by 1887 cited as the most involved in crime in all of Denver. And so he would bribe City Hall, and he planted somebody as one of the deputies at the sheriff office. And so nobody could really catch him doing anything. And then, but eventually there were gambling crackdowns, and he moved to Freeport, Colorado, and did the exact same thing. And he did the same thing with Thimblerig and three card Monte and the soap scams, and just continued growing his gambling operations. And then finally he moves to Alaska and does the exact same thing. Once getting caught in all of these places, he just moves around. And unfortunately, Alaska was his very last place because he scammed someone in three card Monte and died in a shootout when somebody lost. And so that is how he died, and that's him at his autopsy. And then that's a poster from Denver, Colorado, when he fled to Alaska. He was a wanted man. That's everything.
So how much does Fiona owe you now?
$500.
I get them.
No,
Oh, wait a minute.
I can't be like Sophie Smith.
Pretty impressive today.
All right, any questions? Yeah, I've actually seen someone in New York City do, I saw someone with the bottle caps and do it on a cardboard box, and the guy
Yeah.
was moving like this, and I lost everything. No, and I saw someone do it with cards too.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the street, in the city. Huh? Yeah, I'm betting
Yeah.
everything. Any questions? All right, good job. Great start. To get the next one up. Maybe. Oh, Are you sure it's gonna be you?
Maybe.
Give me a sec.
No problem. Take your time.
And you said that the
Teams,
Thomas?
yeah.
Turned in.
Yes,
Thank you for the extra exclamation points.
you're welcome. I thought it had a little flair and encapsulated my excitement about this subject.
I think it's cool.
I love it.
And
It's a child. It was a child. Yeah, New Vegas shirt. Got the roulette on the back.
Oh.
Master.
I did hear about that. Yes.
Give me one sec.
Yeah, Mr. Pinball Master himself. Yeah. Obviously. That's the guy who did the presentation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
New, oh, wait a minute.
What?
Sydney, I didn't see the.
No, there's no. No. Greg,
Right now, right this second here.
Put it for cardamom. No.
But I said the-
Wait.
Way.
You gotta dress it in a hurry.
Someone's gotta pay for this. All right, here we go. Pinball,
Even that means you have.
pinball wizard.
Make up for
I think of a boost.
Oh, I don't have another prairie dog. It's my only prairie dog. I'm sorry. Okay, we're good. We're good. Anyway, pinball. One of my favorite games of all time. I love pinball. There's the mouse. There we go. The Beatles. Beatles pinball right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, free pinball. Pinball before pinball came out with all the flippers, the plunger and all that was called Nine Hole. It was a children's game played in Britain in the 1700s, but then it got like culturized in the in France into a billiards game called Bagatelle, which is that right there. Not that. We'll get to the top thing soon. And then later, the Americans adapted it during the American Revolution. They renamed it Trivioli. It's being put in bars and saloons around the colonies. But then American inventors, aka one American inventor, Montague Redgrave.
That's
So
okay.
yeah, it is a name. I'm a big fan of this name. The father of pinball in parentheses, or in quotes right there. He was named the father of pinball because he gave pinball the plunger, as you can see right here, which is the little mechanism where you put the ball on the top right there and you fire it. Now, Bagatelle right here, and it would be called pinball due to the brass pins right here. We get its name with basically you have to use that plunger and get in those holes and try to score as much as possible. It was just kind of a fun bar game until the Industrial Revolution and in Chicago, which Chicago would be the first thing to like give pinball a bad name. Pinball is so scary, very scary. Very, yeah. Just so you know, we have to ban pinball. I'll get to that later. But it would become popularized from Chicago because that's where most things were made during that time. And the Cali brothers wanted to get in on this. They were the first like coin machine operators, and then they would make people pay to play pinball. These brothers, named respectively Arthur and Adolf, were the two frontline men for this new pinball sensation, which was going around the nation. And they would create Whipple during Prohibition, which you can see the coin thing right there was only a penny to play. You get like at least 10 balls right there for 1 penny. Pretty good deal for so much amount of fun. Big fan. And due to these new innovations, we have my goat, David leave. He is an amazing man who loves pinball and does it for the love of the game. He made a basketball ball, which pinball has a lot of baseball like type themes, which goes in hand with the 8 Men Out, if you think about it.
Good job.
Which this would be the first machine to get mass produced and then like basically all these bars and then soon penny arcades. And then another man by the name of Ray Maloney, not my goat, I put it right there. He did in the love of the profit. He was a slots man, horse racer. He just did it to rig the game basically, and it was another reason why pinball has a bad context. So yeah, we have to ban pinball. Just remember.
7 balls for a penny?
Yeah, for a penny. Inflation went hard. It used to be 10, now it's 7.
And
And
yeah, that's one thing. Now, is there a glass cover or can you like, when you make, let's say you get a home run on that?
this one,
You have to reach in and get the ball and put it back in the plunger or what?
I think for this one, there's a glass case for this one, and they go into those right here. There's a mechanism where it drops the balls.
okay,
I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense.
In previous ones, there was no glass cover, and you would just have to grab the pin or the balls. And this is where we actually first got the steel balls. Before this, there was marbles instead, but they would crack easily. So we got the steel balls as we still use today, because they're such a great invention. Love steel balls. But yes, 1 second. Sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, okay, yeah, Ramoni. Yeah, and pinball would gain great success during the Great Depression, which is kind of shocking because mostly everything was kind of depleting. But people wanted to like take just 1 sec, would like to just take their mind off of their like crumbling life basically. So they would go to these penny arcades. And kids would also go here during lunches and spend some of their lunch money, which was also a reason why pinball got banned. And another great innovation, the tilt detector, would be invented, also used in pinball machines today. Which would basically like deduct points from you if you tilt the machine, because people would start to do that a lot. This man, Broly Lagat.
Umbrella LaGuardia.
Thank you. I was trying to, because there were so many people just saying his names just so differently, and I was so confused to say thank you. Now I do respect this man. He did try to get rid of Vice in New York City, but there is something I did not respect, and that is him not knowing fully what the connotation of pinball was. Pinball did have payout games, which you could get, which would be the gambling part of the pinball. You could get like little candies, beer, or just a full payout back if you got a high enough high score. But there was also machines that were just for fun, and he banned all machines. 35 years in New York. That's how long pinball was banned. Sad thing to see. Sad thing to see indeed.
So not to the 60s.
Not till the 60s, no, not in New York. And
That's
it,
amazing.
yeah, and it would have a massive impact throughout the US and other countries banning pinball because of its gambling. There's still countries today, I couldn't find which ones, I forgot to, but that have pinball still banned today, or at least as of 2018. But Maiko, he strikes again. He did not want to let the art that is pinball down. Gottlieb, after his team heard that pinball got banned in New York, thought of how to make this more of a skill game. So they added flippers. As you can see, you can only see 4, but there's 6 in total on these, which is totally different as we have today, which usually is at the bottom right there. But these flippers would be the way to success to pinball and it being unbanned in New York and around the US. Um, basically, it was a PR. We went on a PR tour for pinball. We had different advancements like the scoring like board, which would light up, and then we had the scoring reel, which would just put new numbers and such. And then we got with spot bowler, we have the flippers down there instead. And that would be the iconic what everything like every pinball machine has, at least those two flippers down there now. This pinball tour would be a success, and there would be a revolution in the 80s and 90s. And it would even get its own movie, Tommy, the Pinball Wizard, having Elton John as the Pinball Wizard. Tommy was a blind and deaf man, and he was the best pinball player ever. Just so you know, he's the coolest one too. I haven't watched the movie yet. Listened to a bit of the soundtrack. It's obviously the Who, mostly. There is an Elton John cover thing of Pinball Wizard, and it was pretty good soundtrack so far. I liked it. But then sadly, video games during the 80s and the arcade video games, and pinball machines would fall out of favor. But pinball tried to strike hard and try to revitalize itself because there were so many advancements during this time. Spinners, so many more flashing lights, magnets, and in this case for a Apollo 13, you could have 13 balls in one machine at a time if you got it perfectly. And it's insane. I've seen some videos. It was really cool to see.
All 13 balls are going the same.
Yeah. But pinball really never reclaimed its fame, and sadly, it would fall out of fame. But it still has a amazing community who are very passionate about this game, and it still has somewhat of a profit. Mostly, you have to order it online and such, and that's really expensive. But there's still like ornaments and such, and cash prizes. And yeah, I love pinball in summary.
So how do you feel about pinball?
I could take it or leave it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So we're in Helena, Montana. Everyone with me on this? Where do you go play pinball?
Not really many places. I played it in the Eagle 16 bar when it was because my mom was a bartender when I was a kid.
Yeah. And they let kids in there. Those who thought you can.
In your video.
Anybody else? Oh, yeah.
There's also another
Used to be
one
none,
in
now they're all over.
Great Falls that's a roller rink and arcade.
Oh, they still have the old arcade?
Yeah, and it has still a pinball machine there too. Yeah,
That building's not gonna.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, pinball is fun, and they would do some gambling on or a little bit of a payback,
mhm,
but it was so associated, I bet, with any machine like slots.
yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Well, let's get a pinball machine.
I would love to.
All right, good job. So in the early 70s, there was no pinball arcades. And you would go play, I mean, they're all there. There's a really big one in Billings, I remember. And then I remember they were replaced by the video arcade, and then they just disappeared overnight. So few. What's that restaurant that has games?
Pizza Ranch?
Did Pizza Ranch have that?
Sadly, no.
I've never been to Pizza Ranch.
Most of the games are.
That seems like it's out of.
And
Oh, there's a place called Dave and Buster.
Oh yeah, they do have pinball.
And I did in Salt Lake City. I took my nephew there and we played a bunch of video games. Very good. All right. Oh, so, yeah, so friends, I knew the people who ran all the pinball machines in Miles City. And they had a warehouse full of something like 600 pinball.
Nice.
And they sold a bunch of them and they made a few work. And then they have a little restaurant now, and it's pretty cool. It's called the Tiltwoods. And it's just covered with, the cool back of the pinball machines, all the designs. That's the whole wall, or about 500 pinball machines. from the sixties, seventies, and eighties. It's really pretty cool. Restaurant's not very good, but it's pretty, mediocre hamburgers. But if you like pinball, they're pretty cool. Well, that means only one thing. We're sticking with money making. The lottery. Give me 1 second. Good job. Now, these are. We're gonna make so much money off of this. Give me a sec. I just gotta turn. Let me move the mouse. I got so many things to do. My job is never done. All right, here we go.
Did the lottery specifically in the United States. And so the lottery, it's a form of gambling where people purchase a number of tickets for a chance to win a prize. Typically, it's like this kind of jackpots from like 100K to like a million plus. Not max. And it's determined by a random drawing of numbers, and the odds of winning a large jackpot are very low. But it's life-changing prize, and then, now we know like scrap offs. But back in the early colonial era, when it started, there was an English lottery authorized by King James I in 1612, in which he granted the Virginia Company, the right to raise money to help establish like settlers in Jamestown. So to establish that, they did, a lottery. And I couldn't find one for Jamestown, but I found these, and you see the spelling of Massachusetts with the F.
Oh, yeah, the apps, yeah, back.
Yeah. And so then lotteries really started to grow, and there was more than 2,000 lotteries reported that were sanctioned between 1744 and 1776. And they played a major role in financing roads, libraries, churches, colleges, bridges, canals, and a bunch of mainly public foundations. And it also got the foundations of Princeton, Columbia, and UPenn, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And they were also used as financial fortifications for the colonies during the war with England and the Indians. And there's some more lottery tickets. That one is, I don't remember what one. It's from like a different one, but again using the apps. And then this one is for Philadelphia. And so then it started to get corrupt because they were largely unregulated, and there was numerous scandals and frauds and excessive profits because it was run by private operators instead of the government, which we know now. And there was a bunch of scandals and frauds, and one that really shut down lottery was the Louisiana lottery scandal, in which the Louisiana State Lottery Company would bribe. They would bribe people, and it was known as the octopus because it spread throughout the entire country. And they would bribe the state legislator, and the influence did reach everyone, so this means the octopus, which led to the lottery. The one that was on that photo was
Go back.
you can,
This one?
yeah, that was the Louisiana lottery scandal. It even spread to New Orleans.
It must be after this. Out.
And so then the lottery was outlawed because by the 1830s, the public opinion against the lottery turned because of a series of scandals and how they saw that it wasn't really for the state and public anymore. It was more for the private operators' pocket. So they used it as enemy of thrift. And that led to many states banning it because of all the scandals, especially with the octopus. That was the big one where they shut it down. And this led to federal and state legislations to ban the lottery. And by 1894, legal lotteries were effectively banned, and the federal law in 1890 prohibited interstate sale of or promotion of lottery tickets. But then we had a lottery revival. But that was around 130 years later. In the 1960s, there was a lot of budget shortfalls because of the two world wars. So they needed a new source without raising taxes, and lottery is a good way to do that. So New Hampshire was the first to revive this practice, but it was state run in 1964. It was specifically to fund the education and to ensure the legitimacy of it without corruption. They did a government monopoly run by the state agency instead of by private companies like the Louisiana State Lottery Company. And that grew to, this is a line for lotteries in the 1960s. They probably like things like, start reading that right, like 600,000. And then in the 1970s, scratch cards grew to their popularity, which are also called instant lottery tickets. And if you don't know what scratch cards are, you buy one from grocery store, gas station, anywhere, and then you scratch it off. And if you usually they're bucks, sometimes you can get like $5 up. You can get up to 500 and still cash in at the gas station. If not, you have to go to the lottery building in wherever is closest to you. And the individual lotteries often featured 3 to 4 digit games. And those were more of the scratch tickets with smaller numbers. And then the 5 to 6 number games often have the jackpots. And the first US multi-state lottery game was in 1985 with Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. It's called the Tri-State Megabucks, and that's still on today.
State mega bucks, I like it.
Yep. And states that don't have a lottery today are Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Utah, and Nevada. I was really curious on why Nevada didn't have one, and it's because of the events casino industry, so they don't want the lottery to compete with that. So the industry kind of put their penny in against that when they tried to. And I would try and copy photos from like the internet of like the news sites saying like say yes to lotteries or whatever, and it wouldn't let me. So you just get no one.
Huh.
Yeah. And this is on lottery because we are in Montana. And this is more of the revenue. Our revenue since July 1st of 1995 has gone to the state of Montana, which goes to the general fund. And it provides money to programs of general operations like schools, roadwork, buildings, all that stuff. And then I'm doing like some laws and examples. So laws against the corruption, they have I couldn't shorten this quote, but intentional or knowingly influence or attempt to influence the selection of a winner of a lottery game is a law many states have. So you can't rig a game or else you get severe fines and punishment, which I'll show you in a minute. And there are still some loopholes in rigging that can happen. Like the hot lotto fraud. That is Eddie Raymond Tipton. He was a former director of the Multi-State Lottery Association, which provided computers for many state lotteries, and he would rig the random number generators for several lotteries across multiple states so he could get more profit. And he won about 2.2 million, but they found that out and he got 25 years in prison. And I couldn't find the exact amount, but he had to pay millions in fees back. And that was in 2017. And then this one, my dad he works for the lottery, so he was working on this, so I wanted to incorporate this one. Because this one is called the Black Swan Scheme. And it's by the Black Swan Capital LLC Corporation. And they exploited the inefficiency of specific games. So they did a public data analysis where they would use available data from the state lotteries, which is on their websites to estimate the remaining odds for top prizes. And then they would use a math algorithm to figure out like which places would have the most. And then they would buy like thousands and thousands of tickets. By sending out like employees, they would give the employees money and the employees would go buy them. And they would go so much that when they would go to certain gas stations or stores, they would just ask how many books of scratch tickets do you have? And they would just buy books upon books of them. And so they got around 650,000 after tax, over a little over 1 million with tax, without tax. But this thing was entirely legal because they used public information. And they didn't break any laws. And they just used bulk purchasing to their advantage. And the Black Swan Capital Company, which is like they're an investment group. And they would send my dad, they sent in 3 giant tubs of like their small winnings. Like the tubs were like those big black ones with the yellow lid. 3 of those stacked full of tickets, and it took months to scan them all in.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, because they had to scan every single one and cash it out and send it back, so it took quite a bit. But it was entirely legal, so that's how you can win.
Got it.
Yep. And so there was many phases of lottery, with it being used for the public, and then corruption with the private operators taking the profit, and then the outlawing for almost a little over 100 years. And then it just shows how corruption spreads like prairie dog holes. And
Very good. Good job.
yep, and now it's pretty well known. You can go into your local grocery store and buy a scratch ticket with the giant machines. And yeah,
Any questions? And so your dad's worked there, and so, yeah?
yeah, he's worked there since I think like 2020.
Oh, really? Okay. I can remember when it was a referendum and they voted it in. It was really controversial because it is gambling.
Mhm.
And there are people who spend hundreds of dollars on it. All right, good job.
Are they every year, like scratch tickets, prizes? And so like little 12-year-old me won like $13 in scratch.
Going to Vegas.
Yeah.
All right, who's going tomorrow? Okay, then hopefully Ron will be back to go tomorrow. When's the one more Christmas?
I was supposed to put out something in house. But
Well, let's go to, I think we'll have him. Who else can go tomorrow? Anybody else? Wanna go? Okay. Go. And then I got time where we put him, but I'll get him.
lost our chance.
No, so, after we recorded him, River and I put them all away because I put everything away because of the speech and. So I just gotta give them.
Probably smart. You know those kids, yeah, they commit crime all the time. I always can't trust them. It's like,
All right, good job today.
They also do.
I found a picture of this. I didn't make to know that
Really?
that was written. One of them has like. Except definitely.
Yeah.
But like, I was saying, I was right, there was a 14-year-old boy who died, it's so far who knows that it is brick. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, but there's that thin ball there. Must be.
You don't have. It's insane.
Like,
I mean, it's some pretty aggressive stuff up the net, so.
I can do it like 80.
By
By Friday.
But there's that thin ball that's right there. So
And one other thing that I said.
We won't win,
Is that.
but if you want to experience the ball, like if it's gonna be
And like,
for you,
all the newspapers.
Then-
I used to do it for
Daughter of
Thanksgiving.
famous college.
Like,
I
yeah,
was totally doing that.
All the papers were like, well, she, because they don't give me a reason to be playing this sport.
It's like I
anyway.
She deserved it.
Well,
I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Because you're they like kind of had it work, but
And you'd be able to
I know
use like
like
the
the
It's not like you'd have to memorize the.
and like obviously
It's not
No, you have to
against the
memorize.
rules.
So like anytime someone would die, they got, well, they just didn't have the skill. Like it was like more just like other papers that were like that.
That's pretty funny. So blame the person who died.
No, like all the time they would do that. They'd be like, oh, that person, well, it was their second time playing, of course they died. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Okay, and this wasn't my fault. This is papers in 1905. This is papers in 1905.
That was- Yeah, but they had.
It was before I was born, just by a couple of years.
Yeah, but they all made up for it with.
That kept the same.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The thin leather shoulder pad kept them.
They're like, oh yeah, that
All right, goodbye, everybody.
year-old is not skilled enough.
It's 13-year-old will be kept safe, but.
It's not. I'm like,
You know,